Gamera is really neat. Gamera is filled with meat. We've been eating Gamera.
Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami, and it has been 7 years since the last Gamera movie, so I cannot wait to find out what happens after Revenge of Iris, as tonight I review Gamera the Brave. The ending to Revenge of Iris would be left open as Dai was bought by Kadokawa Pictures, who decided to return the franchise back to its more childish roots for its 40th anniversary. This in turn meant that it was essentially another reboot, as the story started over from scratch, and Sentai Kamen Rider director Ryuta Tazaki was hired on to direct this incarnation. Surprisingly, the film was met with positive reviews despite this more child-friendly attitude. But clearly audiences were not ready for it, because it bombed so badly that there hasn't been another Gamera movie since. Which brings to question, was it really a good idea to go back to the more child-friendly Showa era as opposed to the well-written masterpieces of the Kaneko trilogy? Only one way to find out. The Brave begins in 1973 with Gamera battling a flock of Gyaos. Wait, 1973? No. Revenge of Iris ended at 1999. It should be 1999 when this is happening, right? This isn't a sequel to Revenge of Iris? Then what's the point? Who is this Gamera? Why should I care about this Gamera? Cool music though. Sounds like something out of The Witcher. The battle takes its toll on Gamera to the point that he self-destructs in order to kill the evil bird bat-like creatures. It then jumps to 2006 and we meet Toru Aizawa and his dad Kyosuke. Kyosuke is played by Kamen Rider Ryuki's oral journal chief Kanji Suda, while Ryo Tomioka portrays Toru. They are at the gravesite of Toru's mother because Japanese entertainment rolls with dead parents. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Wow. I never expected something like that to come out of a kid. Kyosuke owns a diner and has just reopened his business after his wife's death. That night, Toru is sulking when his next-door neighbor's daughter, Mai, shows him that the latest volume of Sergeant Kiro has come out. This cheers him up. The next day, Toru is on his way to school when... Ooh, shiny! He decides to skip school and swims to the island where he saw the shiny and finds an egg inside of a red jewel-like nest. The egg hatches, revealing a baby turtle. Toru names it Toto after the nickname his mother would call him. What is with Japan naming their monsters after the dead? First Iris and now Toto? We also learned during that time that Gamera left behind a large quantity of red pearls that Mai's father made a jewelry business out of. He also decides to make Mai a bracelet with his last pearl as she is about to undergo heart surgery and wants it to act as a good luck charm. Oh great, I can already see where this movie is headed. Maybe I should start a trope counter, because let's see, right now I've got dead mother, creature named after dead thing, love interest with medical issues. Yeah, you know, maybe I'll get lucky and this will be the only aspect that has a trope and the rest of the movie will. Oh God, oh man. So yeah, Toto has grown twice as big. Toru tries to hide him from his father, and Mai freaks out from it at first.
何よ今のカメ。
That looks so realistic. Toru tries to release Toto, but he follows him back home instead. We are then treated to a time transition of what it feels like to be in a store waiting for some customer service. At least that's really the only thing I can think of because of how it's done. I mean, it's kind of brilliant in a way because it makes you think that he's been standing there for a long time because the movie makes it feel that way. But this old lady is giving this transition that it's really only been a couple minutes. So yeah, it's pretty brilliant. Or very lazy, because if you really wanted to do a transition in time, if he has been there for a while, you'd want to use a lot of people walking by. I'm going to go under the assumption that it is the former, but knowing the producers of the movie, it's probably the latter. Yeah, most likely the latter. Toru nearly gets hit by a car, saving Toto from it, and he takes him home. We then cut to Toru at a skate park with friends. Oh. Okay. Is that really what kids are calling it these days? We then have some randomness with Toto at home while Toru is at the skate park. I'm not really following what you want me to see here. Okay, now that scene was cleverly done. Nice job.
石丸神見にうち来る
Right now would probably be the best time for one of you kids to say you need an adult. Mai informs Toru of Gamera, but he refuses to believe it, only to wake up to Toto being as big as he is.
変わったことなんて絶対あったよ
He gets his friends to help hide Toto in some place that is never explained. Yeah, they don't actually tell us where this place is. It just is there. Is it owned by his father? Is it just some random guy's house? Is it a beach house? Is it just something that's free to use? And if that's the case, why would they put it in there when somebody else might walk in there? Ooh. Mai continues to try and reason with Toru as she believes it may be her final opportunity to do so. And Toru gives her the shiny!
じゃあトトのお守りなんじゃないの私がもらっちゃったらトトにはちゃんと言ってきたじゃあ元気になってちゃんとトトに返さなきゃね
Toto disappears at the same time that Mai is brought to the hospital.
誰かに見つかっちゃったのかな誰かに見つかったんなら少しは騒ぎになるよ
A day later, people are running for their lives when a giant lizard dog emerges. The creature devours the runners like dog chow except for one person who just happens to be Toru's friend.
Gotcha!
Kyosuke rescues the kid, who is then rescued by a large Toto.
Nah, that's not right. Oh, actually, that one's pretty close.
Aw, look at him. He's so adorable. He's like the giant monster equivalent of My Little Pony. The lizard dog is far more powerful than Toto and kicks the crap out of him. The green screen moves the battle to a bridge where the lizard dog reveals his tongue-licking action feature gimmick. Toto retaliates with a Hadouken to the mouth. The military captures Toto and transports him to a secret lab run by the Denliner's owner for study. Oh wait, a secret lab and mad scientist? Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this movie features an arrogant politician. Wow, this movie has such range in its characters. They also named the lizard dog Zetus. Toru explains the plot to his dad, who then receives a call from Mai's mom telling them the operation was successful and that Mai has been spouting in her sleep that Toto needs the shiny. As such, Toru and his friends head for the hospital. Toto wakes up just in time for Zetus to attack the lab and another round begins. Zetus shows off his best Jurassic Park impersonation. Toru and gang make it to the hospital only to find it empty. Kyosuke finds Toru and smacks the... Toru! That's it? Just one smack? No wonder he runs off again right after. Next time, maybe you should beat his ass. We cut to Mai at the refuge area where she tries to leave and take the shiny to Toto, but her parents stop her. As such, it is up to the children of Japan to get the shiny to him. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Toru gets Toto stoned with the promise that he won't blow himself up. It powers Toto up just in the... He doesn't look any more powerful.
Nah, that's not right.
Are you sure the shiny worked? That'll teach you to French kiss someone. Toto blows up Zetus.
Man, I love being a turtle.
The military goes to capture him, but are stopped by a group of kids. Look, kids, look. Just because it worked in Final Wars does not mean it's gonna work here. Never mind, it did work. Should I count this as a trope? I think I should count this as a trope. Toto takes off to fight another day as the country of Japan is saved yet again.
Gamera.
And that was Gamera the Brave. I'm honestly not so sure how I want to grade this movie. It isn't bad per se, but it isn't very good either. Ultimately, it's just boring. Outside of Toru, none of the other characters serve any purpose at all to the overall plot. His friends could have just been cardboard cutouts and the end result would have been the same. The only reason his dad has any significance is because I know of Suda's other works. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't give two crap shoots about his character. The worst aspect is the arrogant politician guy though. He shows up in one scene early on and dismisses the idea of there being any more giant monsters, which we already know is going to be contradicted, and it is by the time he shows up again. He doesn't do much of anything but look pouty and be a dick. This is very much an insult compared to what we got from the politicians and military from Kaneko's trilogy, as it brings the movie about 5 steps back. It doesn't help that we are told there is this bill that is being eliminated, but we are never actually told what the bill entails. It just exists to make the movie sound sufficient sophisticated. In fact, that is the biggest issue here. We are brought to this brand new universe, but nothing is ever explained or developed about it. Even if you were to set this in the Showa universe, it still doesn't have a sense of identity. Toru is an okay protagonist. He isn't anywhere near the dregs from the Showa era, but I'm not really sure why we need to go back to this type of story. What is the appeal in having a child raise a new Gamera? To be fair, the story is competently told, but the runtime doesn't allow it to work. On one hand, it takes way too long for anything to happen. On the other, Toto's growth in a Gamera feels rushed. Tazaki is clearly used to being able to develop things in a television format and not a movie one. Hence why things are messy, because the first 40 minutes feels like it is taking its time to develop as a TV series would, while the second half of the movie feels like it is just crammed 10 episodes worth of plot into its remaining 45 minutes. It is very jarring and could have easily worked out better if the filmmakers had been given the time. Hell, Zedis feels very out of place with the tone the movie is going for in its first half. Sure, people being devoured is nothing new for the Gamera franchise, but again, it feels out of place here. There is no development for this aspect. It would be like having a movie about a family picnic that suddenly turns into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the drop of a hat. It just doesn't work. Either make a movie about a kid raising a monster and trying to find a new meaning in his life after the loss of his mother, or make a ferocious giant monster movie. Not both, because clearly the mixing of the two didn't work here.
Speaking of Zedis, from a design standpoint, he is pretty outstanding. The amount of details that goes into his body is really nicely done, especially with the scales, and I love the feathery appearance.
As I nicknamed him earlier, he looks like a lizard dog, which makes him a little reminiscent of Barugan. He is also ferocious and mean looking, which would have been great if he didn't clash with the rest of this movie's tone. I liked how he is much bigger than Toto, so the stakes feel higher, as Toto is clearly the underdog. Sadly, Toto's design is a failure. If this movie had stuck with the tone it originally wanted to convey, the cutesy look would have worked. However, it didn't, so the design doesn't, especially when we are supposed to believe he is powered up. The least they could have done was have him morph into looking like the Gamera from the opening of the movie, as that was a decent design. Here, I get cavities watching him on screen. Another negative is his roar. He doesn't have that classic Gamera roar, which completely takes away from the belief that he is supposed to be Gamera. He may be of the same species, but he is not Gamera. The effects work is pretty good. Isao Kaneko, no relation to Shusuke, does a fantastic job with a lot of the practical effects, but the CGI ones suck. They are horrible and look extremely dated. The miniatures look good, but the camera angles are severely lacking this time around. There just aren't as many truly top-notch shots to be found here as there was in the Kaneko trilogy. Finally, we have the music. Yoko Ueno's score is most definitely impressive and is the highlight of the movie. The music during the battle scenes are done extremely well, especially the opening bit. Although the music does feel like it belongs to a fantasy series more than a kaiju one. In the end, after the powerhouse that was Kaneko's trilogy, this feels like a step backwards not only for the Gamera series, but the kaiju genre in general. It's cool that they wanted to have another child-friendly Gamera movie. I have no problem with that. The problem is that this movie suffers an identity crisis because it has two different tones, one serious, one childlike, that clash with each other and they don't mesh together very well. Also, having a TV director doesn't help matters because the pacing is horrible. The characters are not really all that great to begin with outside of Toru. I just hope that Gamera does have a chance to redeem himself in the future with another installment if one ever happens. And with that, the Gamera movies are complete. Until next time, bye.
not in Kansas anymore.